Hello, I'm JW. This time we got some plugs that were sent in by Norman, and these are old, and by old I mean probably about 100 years old. Got one of them here. It's a 2-pin plug, but notably the whole body of it is actually made of wood rather than a plastic or Bakelite material, so probably some of the most early ones that were actually commonly available. So let's have a look at the letter and also the other items that came with this. So here's the letter, and so this is from Norman, and so I can't recall if there's anything with wooden accessories, so we've actually got a few here. So probably 1920s, and there's also a Bakelite plug included with a unusual cord grip. So let's have a look at these items here, and pictures of these will also be on their website at flameport.com as well. So here's that 2-pin plug in a bit more detail there. I see it's got the 2 pins split, as was common at the time for those, later to give a better grip in the socket tube, though later designs actually got rid of the split in favour of solid. Single screw in the middle there, and then the whole thing, say, is made of wood. This obviously had a varnish on which is peeling away. Flex we've entered on the side here, and it's got that sort of gripping part so you can easily remove it from the socket. Now if we take out this central screw, which is somewhat rusty, we should be able to see the internals. It might seem odd using wood as an electrical product today, but bearing in mind in the 1920s or whatever, plastics weren't really a thing. Bakelite had only been invented, say, a decade or so earlier, so using wood, which was quite a decent insulator when it was dry, wasn't all that surprising. So what we've got here is the 2 pins mounted in this disc, and these are brass, threaded insert there, so your wires will just go into the side there, tighten down on the top. And then the body of the plug here, see, it's just got the shape cut in for the wires to go through, and 2 holes so that the contacts can go in the back. And in terms of a flex grip, all that's happening here is essentially when you place this in, it's pushing down inside, so forming a sort of a grip over that lip there. So there isn't a separate grip as such, but the action of placing it down inside that sort of tunnel there would provide a reasonable amount of grip for that, and then so the wires come out the side. Now of course this is a 2-pin, so there will be no earth connection. Most of the time did not have an earth connection, and it would typically be a sort of a twin twisted flex with sort of cotton or silk covering over the top, rubber insulated wires underneath. And this has been made probably in a single piece here. That appears to just be a turned item there, so that is all one piece, turned on a lathe presumably, and then just holes drilled here and a piece cut out for the flex. This piece here, not sure whether that's actually wood or some kind of fibrous material. It looks more like a early type of phenolic or similar material, or maybe some kind of compressed fibre or something, but certainly a very early design. So we'll just put that one back together. Now the next one we've got here, this is a bayonet plug, and this is what you would fit into a light fitting, typically on the ceiling. Again, this is all made of wood, turned on a lathe there, screw thread cut in, and again inside, but again this is timber. 2 brass terminals on the top there with a separator between, and then just got the 2 points there which would connect onto the bayonet lamp holder, and these pins in the side are probably going to be brass or similar. They're just pressed through, and that's what grips into the lamp holder. Now this style of thing would have been common in the early days of electricity, because most houses that certainly had electricity initially would have had lighting before anything else, because there wasn't really anything else to plug in. Appliances for the home, of course, didn't really exist. Lighting came before all of that, so these things were made so you can then connect something else to the light. So you had an electric iron or something, then you could use something along those lines to connect to it, and of course you could also attach another light or something to that if you wanted a longer lead on it or whatever else. So again, just a very simple 2-part design, no specific cord grip, and it's just relying on the fact that the wires have got to go over that and through the centre hole. You could of course put a knot or something in it to secure it in position. Now here's another 2-pin plug, same sort of spacing as the other one we had there, so fairly similar. Pins are about the same kind of length as well, and again they're the split type. which I say was dropped in favour of solid ones somewhat later. This has a few bits of wire still attached there, so you can see there sort of cottony covering with the black and red inner insulation. And similar construction there, though we've got 2 screws on the back of this one. So let's just take those out and we'll see what's inside. So again, very similar to the other one. We've got the 2 terminals on the top here. No old edges there, so you can actually do those with your fingers. Just wire wrapping around on these rather than going through the hole. And again, the same on the other side there. It's not particularly tight, but it doesn't really matter. We're not going to be also using it. So again, just the 2 wires, the line in neutral, black and red. And again, just 2 holes drilled through there, just to basically allow space for that to go inside. And then on the back there, just the piece on the top, so it comes over that central point, which gives us sort of a crude type of cord grip. Now the last wooden item we have here is this switch, and this would have been hanging down typically by a bed or similar, so you just reach up and then just turn on the light by pressing one side or the other. Again, turned wood here, and still a bit of wire attached on the top there. This one unscrews without any tools needed. Again, that wouldn't be necessarily allowed today. It has been glued in the past, so it's also cracked through the middle there. See inside here the switch mechanism. A very simple arrangement. Basically we've got 2 contacts either side, some insulating block in the middle which looks to be a ceramic, some kind of a ceramic material there. So this is in the off position, and then when it slides to the on position, just puts that piece of probably brass between the contacts, and obviously that makes the connection between them. So again, a very simple and straightforward arrangement. And so we've still got a bit of the wire here. Again, this is some probably silk or cotton covered stuff. Black and red rubber insulation inside there. Now the mechanism for this does come out, so I'm trying to be a bit careful here because obviously this is a fairly fragile thing. So I've just got the cup there, this little tiny piece is cracked off in the back there. I've also lost one of the screws for the side contact there. So ceramic base here, just the 2 terminals on the back there, and then the twisted flex coming away. This ceramic piece would have been made as one assembly, and then the metal contacts inserted afterwards. Just hold that on the sides there just to support the moving switch, and then we can see it's just a wiping contact there, so that's in the on position straight through. And then with the ceramic in the middle, of course, insulating. And this part, of course, would be live when it was on, because this is going to be 2 live conductors here, basically switched and unswitched. And this, of course, is metal. There's no earth connection here, but what you're relying on is on the metal side at least. See, there is that sort of insulating sleeve. So although this goes all the way through, there's going to be a rubber or similar sleeve in the middle to isolate this metal from the block here. Of course, if that was to fail in any way when the light was on, this part will become live as well, and that's why this type of thing would not be recommended for use these days. But of course there's a fairly high risk of that being degraded and therefore making it live when the thing is turned on. Now this is the final item. This is actually a Bakelite type of plastic rather than the wooden thing we saw before, but again we've got this sort of wooden or fibrous type disc on the back. One notable difference here is this is a 3-pin plug, so it's got that earth connection, so probably somewhat later. And as we see, it's got this sort of cord grip arrangement on the side with this tapered piece, so the wire would come out of there, and then you could of course turn this to tighten up and grip against the flex, and similar sort of design to the wooden one that we saw before. So there's the 3 terminals on the back, similar to what we saw before because it's got the sort of side entry for the wire there, so just the wire goes in and the screw tightens down on top of that. And again, this is some sort of, it's either wood or some sort of fibrous type material. I think that is actually wood on that one. This disc here, which is the flex grip, so it's got that tapered piece there, and then this bottom part, again this is a plastic but it's got the same kind of a layout in there, just the holes drilled there to allow space for those terminals to go in, and then the flex just coming out of the side. So the flex grip itself, basically when you got it in that sort of position, you've got a reasonably large hole, and then of course as it was turned it would grip onto the flex and tighten that up so it held it in position and avoid it being pulled out from the side. Of course the problem with that is you could obviously turn it back and it will then be loosened, but bearing in mind this was the days when people were probably more sensible and were somewhat more aware of how these things were put together. So look, there, some very early electrical accessories, chiefly made of wood. Now wood is a good insulator, but only when it's dry. You would not particularly want to be using things like that these days, because unfortunately wood, when it gets wet or damp, becomes a fairly good conductor, and in the case of those they would obviously short out and set on fire. So fine when it's dry, but certainly not when it gets wet or damp. So thanks to Norman for sending those in, and if you want to see a larger picture of those you can do so at flameport.com. And if you want to send in anything yourself, then details are in the description to this video. But until next time, thanks for watching.